If your grades are looking like this, right now in April, it's giving unprepared. And it's not your fault, you're just using the wrong techniques. So let me help you. Hey guys, my name is Pratasha and GCSEs are right around the corner. So in this video, I'm gonna be sharing 11 tips on how I got a grade 9 in English literature, along with my top level annotations at the end of the video, so stay till the end. With all that being said, let's get started. Okay, I thought to just quickly explain the GCSE grading system. So the new grades are numbered and the old grades go from A star to U. And the new grades go from 9 to U, so 9 being the A star grade, and the U just means U as in the old grade, and the 1 means a G. Also guys, side note, from all of the revision videos I've seen online, I've never really heard them share these tips at all, because I was a student too, and when I was using these videos, I'd never heard these techniques. So honestly, this video is gonna help you guys so much this year. I wish you guys the best of luck in advance before we get started. Tip number 1, know your text really well in your mind. Really make sure you know your text inside out. And in my case, it was Macbeth. I've got it right here, which we're gonna go through a little bit. And it was also A Christmas Carol and Inspector Calls as well. I will say though, if you guys started revising a little bit earlier, say like 6 months, for example, then knowing the specifics of what happens in each act of each scene is better, but that is if you had the time. Well, now if you don't really have a lot of time, that's totally fine. Getting to know what happens in each act is enough. You don't really have to be that specific, and I'll get to why that is. No matter how ambiguous or random your ideas are about a quote, if you can back up your explanation, honestly, if you can back up your explanation and just kind of structure it really well, which I'll get to, then you will be awarded marks for that, for sure. What I basically mean by backing up your ideas is to claim evidence about what you're saying. For example, you're basically linking back to the text quite a lot of times, and that way examiners don't really know how to mark you down because you are looking back at certain quotes and you are linking them to your answer. So it makes your answer more specific, more direct. You need to analyze each act really well, especially when it gets to turning points in the book. Remember, every other student sitting in that exam hall with you is going to have some sort of explanation on the most famous quotes, or maybe some analysis that the teacher told the entire class. So they're going to write down a really common analysis for that specific quote, which is not what's going to lead you to the top marks. And why is that? Because everyone's doing it. And if you stop at that, you're going to be capped with like a 6 or a 7 max. Now, don't get me wrong, guys, those are great examples to mention, but they're not what's gonna get you the top grades. And I definitely did that. I definitely added them in, but it's what I did after that that really mattered. I got awarded full marks from explaining quotes that you wouldn't think would actually get you the marks. I know, it sounds counterintuitive, but let me explain. Okay, let's explain using Macbeth. Okay, for example, this is page 33 in Act 1, Scene 7, and let's take this quote for example. Everyone's going to be focusing on this quote and saying something like, oh, Lady Macbeth uses extreme emotional blackmail to pursue Macbeth, and students also say things like, oh, she's manipulative and nihilistic, all your top vocab. But what grade 9 students also focus on is this line here, for example. I dare do all that become a man. And you're gonna be like, Pratasha, why is that? Well, it implies here that Macbeth refuses to be seen as a coward, and this goes against masculine expectations and often seen as a weakness. He feels challenged to prove his masculinity, but also suggests that he's a true man that acts with honor and moral restraint, not a reckless, violent person as a response. Tip 3, make mind maps. Specifically for each theme. Now, I didn't really bother making loads of mind maps on all the different characters because if you kind of just make a mind map for Macbeth, for example, he changes a lot throughout the whole story, and so do other characters, so there's not a real point doing that, but themes stay consistent. There's quite a lot in every theme, so you can link a lot of different quotes and the behaviors of a lot of the different characters in each theme. And by the time the exams roll around, you'll probably roughly know which character carries what act and what they've done in the play overall. That's why I say, guys, really don't make mind maps on characters because it varies so much, but the themes really don't, and I'm going to show you guys some of my mind maps. You can see with these, I really haven't done a whole lot because I've kept it quite minimal and quite specific. that was the theme of ambition. This is masculinity and cruelty, and this is the psychology of guilt. And if you guys want me to explain these mind maps in more detail, then I'll make another video on it if you guys want, but yeah. Every play or book that you're going to be studying will have a set amount of themes or ideas that examiners love to talk about and test you on. So for Macbeth, these are the ones: power, ambition, appearance versus reality, gender roles, supernatural and natural order, violence, and kingship. No matter what the question says in the exam, make that theme your key focus, otherwise you're not going to be answering the question, but have that as the key focus, but also link other themes and ideas together. That shows you're a very critical thinker, that shows you're thinking outside the box and linking other themes to the theme that you've got. Well guys, doing this helped me so much because you're forming a really nice well-rounded answer and you're not just completely diving into one theme, because that kind of cuts you short. I remember I wrote 11 pages in that exam, guys. 11 pages. I literally put everything down, I swear. So doing this is gonna help. Tip number 4, vocab. Using top vocabulary just leverages your points. Examiners love to see it, and if you want a grade 9, it's a must. And I mean literal vocab, like using hubris instead of excessive pride, and also mentioning grammar concepts like trochaic tetrameter, chiasmus, iambic pentameter, dramatic irony, paradox, pathetic fallacy, euphemism, hamartia, and soliloquy. There you go. Tip 5, challenge your analysis. What I mean by this is by critiquing your explanations for the quotes that you've written down. At the end of the day, you can't really memorize all of the quotes and all of the explanations that you've chosen, so it's best to filter out the strongest ones by critiquing them. Make sure you go to your teachers or any personal tutors that you have for help and guidance. Personally, I didn't really have any personal tutors, so I would always go to my teachers for advice, which leads me on to tip number 6. Tip number 6, use your teachers. It's literally their job to help you. I remember always pestering my teachers for advice, like, oh, can you check on this essay that I've written? Oh, can you check on my explanation on this part of the text and things like that. And if you pester them, honestly, they'll give you so much advice. They've been doing this for so long. They know exactly what the examiners want and they know exactly what kind of things that students will write. So it's best to ask them, get some advice from them, and regularly have them check on what you write. So that really helps to make sure that you're on track. It's literally one of the easiest ways to know whether you're on track with your answers and whether you need to change any structure in your answer, add something else. Tip number 7, this is kind of surprising, but you don't need to write practice essays. What I will say though is that if you're already getting 8s and 9s in your mocks by doing this, then carry on by all means. Like, that's totally okay because that's working for you. But if you're not, personally, I wouldn't recommend it. Personally, I wrote like one practice essay because I was forced to by my teachers, like maybe 2 months from the exams, and I still got the 9, so that's really not necessary. It's not necessary if you are constantly improving your answers. So I would say if you're writing an essay, don't just write the essay and then call it quits, like never look at it again. There's literally no point to it. It's like doing a past paper for a certain module or a subject and then just not marking it with the mark scheme. Like, that doesn't make sense, does it? So basically, as soon as you're done with writing the essay, go to your teacher, ask them to mark it for you, ask them what advice they can give you for it, what you're missing, what a grade 9 student would write compared to what you've written down, and you need to improve from the feedback that they give you. And if a teacher spots you as a student who's really proactive and wants to get the 9, then this is definitely something that you should do. So yeah, take it to your teacher at break, lunch, or after school and just get it marked from them. Tip number 8, watch a video of the play or the book that you're reading. Now, I can't really say this necessarily for Macbeth because I couldn't really find any resources then when I was revising, but I can say this for An Inspector Calls. So just to recap, I studied Macbeth, An Inspector Calls, and A Christmas Carol. Side note again, I will be making text-specific videos for revision in the future as well. But I remember for An Inspector Calls, there was this really nice play and also a short film that kind of narrated the whole story of An Inspector Calls really well. And I can't stress this enough, but those are really necessary to watch because when you're reading the text, you're kind of reading it in the sound of your own voice, so you can't really tell exactly what the actors are feeling in that moment. So watching an actual short film that shows it all, of different characters portraying their lines in a specific way, that's just very useful to understand the tone that the actor's moving with and the sort of vibe that's being created, the atmosphere, if you like. So that was really helpful, and if you guys can get your hands on really nice short films like that, please do. I will link the An Inspector Calls video that I used for my revision in the description below for you guys. Tip 9, consistency matters, guys. Trust me when I say this. Even the final days before your exam, consistency matters. Like, you have to keep picking out the content. You really do, until the last day. You will feel really reassured that you've done enough, and you're gonna feel really confident walking into the exam. You'll be like, oh, I was just really consistent this whole time. I didn't do any last minute revision. Yeah, I didn't do any last minute revision because you're watching this video, obviously. And that's gonna really help you guys. Just get into the mindset of things, just being really chill about it, and like, it's fine. Like, I was studying until the last minute, it's gonna be okay. And the final tip that I have for you guys is to sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Please sleep. And please don't stay up till like 3 in the morning and be like, oh, I'll just get this last quote in. Oh, I'll just revise this last quote. Please don't do that, because you will not remember it in the morning. It's better if you were able to manage your time properly, able to eat dinner early, go to bed early, and wake up earlier. So maybe you can get like 1 or 2 hours of last minute revision before you head into the exams. But get enough sleep, guys, and self-talk is always so beautiful. And yeah, just like, keep at it. I know you guys will do so brilliantly. Honestly, I hope this video really helps you guys preparing. And as promised, let me give you guys my top grade 9 annotations for some of the most popular quotes. Let's go. So the first one is fair as foul, foul as fair, from Act 1, Scene 1. And I would say this because it's quite a popular quote, but the type of explanation that you give is very important to get the marks. To state what this is, firstly, it's an example of trochaic tetrameter, and they're rhyming couplets, so there's choral chanting involved. It's very rhythmic. And Shakespeare's employed a technique called chiasmus. Make sure you write down the technique that they've used. And it demonstrates a paradox of fair and foul, which is good versus bad. And to some extent, it would represent the witch's amorality, I would say. It's very chant-like, rhyme versus rhythm, and it's inverted language. It kind of goes to show how strange and peculiar the witches were itself in their language. And it also symbolizes the fact that some things can be deceptive, not what they are or what they're supposed to appear as, which we see later on in the text. This one is a really good one from Act 1, Scene 3, the one that's highlighted. Whose horrid image doth unfix my hair and make my seated heart knock at my ribs against the use of nature? So there's a lot to analyze on this one. I'll just do it very quick. So seated and knock, juxtaposition, that shows the physical beginnings of stress and guilt. Against the use of nature, witches have corrupted him, aka Macbeth, to his very heart. Against the use of nature, they are encouraging him to defy the good chain of being. The good chain of being God. So therefore, defy God. And when they say, if good, why do I yield to that suggestion, whose horrid image doth unfix my hair? The yield bit basically means to give in or surrender. So if you kind of think about Macbeth's psychology here, he's very tempted by the thought of regicide, their unnatural thoughts. That again links to the witches encouraging him to defy the chain of being. So do you see how these kind of add together? Like, the more you analyze the little quotes, you see how one section of the quote, even a word, I just said yield, even a word could link to a whole other quote. So that is gonna get you the grade 9, guys. Let's see what else we've got here. Horrid image doth unfix my hair. Macbeth recognizes the divine right of kings, knowing that King Duncan was chosen by God to rule Scotland. So there's a lot of appearance versus reality themes in here as well. So this quote is a very good one to use. Guys, we cannot forget Act 1, Scene 5, when Lady Macbeth is introduced into the story. So there's quite a lot to pick out from here, but I'll just give you guys some of the quotes. So one would be my dearest partner in greatness. That's a really good one. Why? Why is it good? Because it creates a sense of equality. He's calling her his partner. And we know back in the day, there was not that sort of hierarchical structure of having them equalized. And so the sense of equality was very surprising to see, especially from Macbeth. And in that era, obviously, it wasn't very common to have that dynamic. So it's like they're so close that they could share their thoughts and their secrets. And another one, which is a really, really good one, this one, it is too full of the milk of human kindness. Now, this is linked to the fact that milk is nourishing, it's life-giving, connotations of milk, it's pale, it's gentle, it's white, white being purity, white represents purity. So this is actually Lady Macbeth telling Macbeth, I fear thy nature is too full of the milk of human kindness. She's kind of underestimating his masculinity, saying, oh, you fall too vulnerable to these things. You should show less benevolence and you should be a bit more ruthless, is what we see in the future of what Lady Macbeth does, or, you know, convinces Macbeth to do. Got that. And then we've got thou wouldst be great, art not without ambition, but the illness should attend it. The illness, what does the illness say here? No poison to seize the opportunities given to Macbeth. It shows Macbeth that he has ambition but no malevolence in him to kind of portray that or to execute it. Another one, a really famous one in Act 1 Scene 5, look like the innocent flower but be the serpent under it. Now, there's a lot of deception here, there's a lot of biblical reference here. So the biblical perspective is that she says be the serpent under it, so it's the snake, the devil in the Garden of Eden. And look like the innocent flower is a theme of deception, of course. And it's the concealment of Macbeth's true feelings, appearing as innocent and submissive. And this is very applicable to the appearance versus reality theme. So that's a really good one to use, where if your theme is appearance versus reality, or if you're comparing how Lady Macbeth is portrayed in the play, or even how Macbeth is. So the top two characters, this is a strong one to use. Act 1 Scene 7 is a great one, especially here highlighted in yellow, and live a coward in thine own esteem. Okay, so this one is quite interesting because here we see Lady Macbeth in the power here. Lady Macbeth is very dominant in terms of verbally. She's very dominant with how she treats Macbeth. She doubts his masculinity and live a coward in thine own self-esteem. Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since? So it truly affects Macbeth, as a coward personality would go completely against masculine expectations. He doesn't want to do that, does he? He feels insecure to prove his masculinity. And Lady Macbeth later on in that act, she uses a lot of extreme emotional blackmail to persuade Macbeth to do the heinous crime that he did. And it may sound quite extreme to the audience, yet in Macbeth's perspective, Macbeth would be obliged, as he provides his heart to her, as he says. So yeah, she mocks his manhood quite a lot, mocks Macbeth and says he's a coward, and says that Macbeth's hopes should be condemned by ambition, just ambition, and hubris. It shouldn't be seen as very emotional. Moving a little bit away from Act 1 is Act 5, this section here. Now, this doesn't actually have that much analysis on the quotes exactly, it's on the dashes, and I did this on purpose. I wanted to go through just one section where you can emphasize punctuation. Now, that not many examiners actually are familiar with, probably of students doing, but that is a really good one. So in this case, this is Act 5 Scene 3, and it builds towards the tension of what's going to happen. So he says here, come put mine armour on, give me my staff with a dash, Satan sent out, dash, doctor the tains fly from me, dash, come sir dispatch, dash. Now there's quite a lot of dashes here. So we've labelled this as an erratic sentence structure. It's very rapid, and the dashes indicate a lot of chaos and urgency. So this reflects on how Macbeth is feeling at this moment. So it's very reflective of his chaotic mindset and the way he's thinking before he does the heinous crime that he does, in influence of Lady Macbeth and his own thoughts. So yeah, all of these tips really helped me, and I'm so glad I could share it with you guys. So yeah, if you have any questions, drop it in the comments below and I will feel free to answer it for you guys. And yeah, I mean, that's all the tips I've got. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys liked the video. Like, share, sub, all the rest, and I'll see you guys in another one. Bye.